We have a time certain, so we'll wait for that. The Hunger Relief Strategic Plan. And my understanding is that Congressman Deutsch, is Congressman Deutsch here? Not yet? Okay. As soon as he gets here, can we yield so he has time to speak and make the airport if he has to leave?
Mayor Commissioners and Mayor Commissioners, I'm Demonstrator County. Right, get started before I make it earlier this year. I should be doing commission for our relation. She's interested in food. Behind me on me, and that way, and our criticize for everybody. All of the regions had decisions on approval of the Hunger Relief Plan is assuredly the most important step that you will take as a board to protect and enhance the lives of insecure children, seniors, and families in our diverse community. These families are struggling to feed their children, and those seniors that are skipping meals and depending on local food pantries, soup kitchens, and government-supported feeding programs to survive need our help. Much to our dismay, the numbers of those affected in our community are staggering. And you'll hear some of the statistics in the presentation and much more you'll see much more in the report itself. This plan is a fantastic piece of work that includes input from hundreds of individuals and local organizations and a group of very talented professionals assembled by United Way of Palm Beach County and Palm Beach County Board of County Commissioner staff. It includes goals, tactics, strategies, measurements, and outcomes. This plan is accurately described in the report as bold, yet obtainable, practical, and results-oriented. It's what we need for our community. As United Way's 2015 Hunger Hero and as your Deputy County Administrator, I'm proud to be part of this effort, and I will be doing everything I can upon your approval to make sure that this plan is sustainable and that we get community support for this plan. With those brief remarks, I want to recognize Dr. Lori George, who will also make some comments and introduce our presenter.
Great, thank you. Is this on? Good morning, Commission. This is the most comprehensive study of hunger ever done in Palm Beach County, and it builds off the existing studies that have been done in the Glades. It builds off the ALICE report, which you saw about a month ago, the asset limited, income constrained, but employed. This is a study to be very proud of. My board chairman, Don Kiselewski from FPL, is also in the audience. Give a little shout out to Don. And we just so appreciate the partnership between United Way. And the one thing that was really moving about this project was that we had nearly 200 stakeholders at the table. We are blessed with a lot of folks that understand the food needs. What we needed and what we have in front of us now is a coordinated plan that helps us take a big picture look at hunger and helps us connect the dots on these different strategies. We're blessed to have the Food Research Action Center, coupled with the University of South Carolina, come and work really intensively in our community for the last 4 months. Alex is here to present, and she actually is in a unique position because she was the director of an initiative that came from a similar study that took place in DC, and that was the DC Hunger Solutions, and they have an amazing track record of showing significant gains in access to food, and also they had some similar issues as well in terms of food deserts and having access to fresh produce. So without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Alex. Thank you.
And I'm recognizing that Congressman Deutsch is here, and we would like to invite you to come and speak because we know you're on a timeline.
Thanks. I am, and I appreciate the opportunity, and I really am here just in support of the incredible work that's being undertaken on behalf of so many in the community to fight hunger, and I'm not going to speak, I'm here to listen, and I appreciate very much the opportunity to do that.
Well, we just wanted to make sure everyone knew you were here and that we appreciate the work you're doing for our community, and certainly we appreciate the fact that you're here on this very important topic.
Thank you, Mayor. Thanks, everyone.
You want to come up? Yeah, you can. No, you're good. Okay. All right. Thank you so much. Moving right along then.
Good morning, Mayor Vanna, Vice Mayor Berger, and Commissioners. I am honored and delighted to be here today to share the Palm Beach County Hunger Relief Plan, that is the result of extensive public engagement and research on best practices. The plan builds on so much admirable work to address hunger that is already taking place across the county. Many people downplay or deny the existence of hunger in America, especially in a county as wealthy and beautiful and agriculturally rich as Palm Beach. But if we look around, we can see that there are 200,000 people, more than 64,000 of whom are children, right here who struggle with hunger because their resources are so limited that they run out of food, choose to serve cheaper filling food because nutritious foods cost too much, cut back on meal sizes, go from pantry to pantry in search of free food, make impossible choices like deciding whether to pay for medicine or the rent or food, frequently suffer from stress, depression, and low energy. And this hunger hurts us all. Our children cannot learn without adequate nutrition. Adults cannot work to their full potential if they are sacrificing their own nutrition to feed their children or simply do not have enough to eat and stay productive. But thanks to the leadership of United Way of Palm Beach County, the Palm Beach County Board of County Commissioners, and the Hunger Relief Task Force, Palm Beach County came together to respond to the urgent problem of hunger. And the response to address hunger started with an in-depth research prong where FRAC reviewed hunger relief plans across the country, identified best practices in addressing hunger, delved into Palm Beach County-centric data and research, and talked with other national and state experts on hunger relief. The second research prong featured an incredibly robust public engagement process, an online survey of 151 stakeholders, 10 focus groups attended by 61 stakeholders, 10 one-on-one interviews with people struggling with hunger, and 21 interviews with key individuals engaged in anti-hunger work, including Representative Deutsch. This process showed the depth, diversity, and strength of the nonprofits, public agencies, faith-based organizations, funders, businesses, concerned citizens, and civic leaders committed to addressing hunger. A process so robust that Mindy Spencer, the University of South Carolina professor who led the public engagement research, commented that she had never seen so many people in a community committed to addressing an issue. The result is a bold yet attainable, practical, and results-oriented plan based on 3 key principles. Household economic security must be strengthened. Time and time again, the community echoed the sentiment that we cannot end hunger until we have enough stable resources for people to purchase food. As one colleague remarked, we can't feed our way out of this problem in the long term. Second principle is that all eligible residents must be connected to the federal nutrition programs like SNAP, formerly known as food stamps, school meals, WIC, child care meals, after-school meals, summer meals, home-delivered meals, congregate meals, and the TFAP program. Why? Well, taken together, access to these programs is a sustainable strategy not only for reducing hunger, but also for improving academic achievement and early childhood development, encouraging healthier eating, increasing family economic security, and drawing millions of additional federal dollars into communities for groceries, schools, child care centers and homes, local program providers, and families. The county is doing an admirable job of connecting people to these programs. These programs brought in over $300 million into the county in the last year, but we could do even more to connect more eligible families to these programs. The third principle is all the stakeholders need to continue to work together in unity to achieve these goals. No one program and no one individual can solve hunger alone. We need to build on the strengths of your fabulous network and identify gaps in order to make the implementation of this plan a success. So now is the time to get into the plan. And don't worry, I'm not going to read all 100 pages to you. But what I thought would be helpful is to share the 10 strategies, and then within each of the 10 goals, and within each goal share a strategy to consider. So the first goal is all county residents will be aware of hunger in Palm Beach County and solutions at hand. Throughout the public engagement process, we heard the need to educate people on hunger and resources at hand to address it. As a result, one strategy is to launch a comprehensive campaign to raise awareness about the extent of hunger in the county with a compelling framework and messages that keep the topic relevant and that engage community members at all levels. For example, to bring awareness to hunger, the community could organize a county food stamp challenge where public officials, community leaders, and residents learn firsthand how hard it is to eat on an average SNAP budget, which is $32 a week for the purchase of all your food. The second goal. The Palm Beach County Hunger Relief Task Force, elected officials, and community members will advocate for the strengthening of public policies at all levels of government to systematically fight hunger and reduce food hardship. Why? Well, policies at the federal, state, and county and local levels impact so many local hunger-related strategies, like the federal reimbursement for school meals, or the ability to access federal financing to open a grocery store in a food desert, or the allocation on how much the food stamp program, which is based. And I know there's an interesting act that Senator Deutsch just introduced to address that issue, to make food stamp benefits last throughout the month. To that end, the task force will need to prioritize its interests and ability to engage in federal advocacy, partnering with Florida Impact to support a strong child nutrition reauthorization act and senior advocacy groups to support the nutrition programs in the Older Americans Act. Goal 3, hunger in the Glades will be reduced through intensive focused outreach and attention. Participants brought up the irony of people being hungry in an area that grows so much food so efficiently for our nation. One key issue that stakeholders identified was the inefficient, although improving, distribution of food to families struggling with hunger, due in part to the lack of sufficient refrigerated trucks and storage in the Glades. One key strategy that emerged is to improve the coordination of resources. For instance, there are short-term solutions like getting more refrigerated storage, transportation, and staff or volunteers in place to accommodate the current volume of all available food. In the longer term, the community voiced the need and the opportunity for the development of a produce processing and distribution plant for the Glades that could create jobs, lead to better use of donated produce, and increase the shelf life of produce through canning, freezing, and making sauces. The produce could potentially be supplied for use in child nutrition programs or to the local or sold to local food retailers. Goal number 4. All Palm Beach County children will have access to the nutritious food they need to build healthy bodies and strong minds. This goal encompasses many of the key nutrition programs like summer meals, STEM, summer break spots in Florida, WIC, child care food, and the list goes on and on. And the community, in particular the Florida Department of Health of Palm Beach County, the School District of Palm Beach County, and the Palm Beach County Children and Youth Services Department are all doing excellent jobs in growing these programs. This great work can be amplified, and these programs can grow to serve tens of thousands of more children, all funded with federal dollars. I do want to focus your attention on school breakfast. We all know that breakfast is the most important meal of the day. It gets kids fed, fueled, fit, and ready to learn. And we also know that across the country, when it's testing day, school leaders make sure that every kid has school breakfast. Well, we should make that the norm day in and day out. Kudos, first of all, to the county school district for already providing free breakfast at all schools. But even so, far too many kids miss out on the meal, primarily because the breakfast meal is served before the start of the school day. And because of bus schedules, I heard something on the news about bus schedules, stigma in accessing the meal, and other factors, this means too many kids cannot access breakfast under the current model. So an exciting strategy that's being used across the country is to maximize participation in school breakfast by offering breakfast through alternative service models that make breakfast a part of the school day. For instance, serving breakfast in the classroom, or using grab-and-go carts so kids can access a quick breakfast and eat it when they get to school. Goal number 5. Low-income older residents of Palm Beach County will have balanced, nutritious diets. Palm Beach County is a sought-after location for many retirees. While many seniors who are higher income live comfortably in retirement, many Palm Beach County seniors struggle to put food on the table. Unlike the child nutrition programs that come with federal funding to cover the need, the senior nutrition programs are not entitlement programs. And you can see that play out in the following. In 2014, the Older American Act's congregate meal program served on an average weekday 2,904 residents aged 60 or older at 21 Palm Beach County senior sites. The state home-delivered meal program served about 800 homebound seniors. More could be invested in these programs and also the nonprofit programs like Meals on Wheels. The total budget right now is about $1.8 million. And if more funding were invested, these programs could serve thousands more and grow to cover more of the need of seniors who need support to access food. Goal number 6. Participation in SNAP will increase substantially to benefit more residents, and SNAP benefits will be enhanced. Now, this goal focuses on many strategies to improve participation in food stamps, and the county should be applauded for improving its rates over the past few years. But again, more can be done. But I do want to focus on the need to address the damaging impact of pending SNAP cuts at the national level. Beginning in 2016, Palm Beach County food banks, pantries, social services, and faith-based organizations will be hard hit by a national change in SNAP policy. The loss of SNAP for able-bodied adults without dependents, the so-called ABOD participants. These individuals will lose SNAP benefits that average about $175 per month. They'll lose these benefits after 3 months unless they can find a 20-hour-a-week job or a volunteer employment or training opportunity that's 20 hours a week, or that they can prove that they are unable to work. The loss of SNAP benefits for potentially 23,000 county residents will flood the social service networks. Plans must be solidified to address this issue. It will also harm food-related businesses who will lose millions in dollars in purchasing power. For every dollar that is spent in food stamp benefits, and SNAP generates $1.79 in local economic activity. The county is taking commendable actions to address this issue, but it will require continued attention and collaboration among the hunger relief task force stakeholders to help soften this blow. Goal number 7. All Palm Beach County residents will be able to access healthy, affordable food in their communities. Now, lots of exciting ideas came to fruition, okay, pun intended, but I wanted to highlight one eminently doable strategy. That is to establish farmers markets and produce stands in food desert areas that accept food stamps and where people can purchase fruits and vegetables using food stamps, but also investing in something called bonus bucks. And these are dollars that often a private foundation, sometimes the government funds, where people, if they use a certain amount of SNAP benefits, sometimes WIC benefits, then they can double their purchasing power and get more fruits and vegetables. And obviously this is a great way to not only support the nutrition of people struggling with hunger, but to also support the farming community. Goal number 8. Food banks, pantries, and other charitable agencies will partner to connect families to nutritious food and resources. Palm Beach County has 2 large food banks and 1 small food bank, and more than 200 pantries and soup kitchens. Many are engaged in some visionary work to address hunger beyond giving out food. Many could do more with additional resources and information. The need is to coordinate these efforts to access federal and state resources so that food banks and pantries can better serve clients. Goal number 9. All Palm Beach County families will have the knowledge to make the best possible healthy food choices. There's lots of amazing nutrition education programming going on in Palm Beach County. Just one example is the Nutrition Driven program, and that's a picture of the van that goes out that brings not only nutrition education to the community, right to their doorstep, but also gives people free food so that they can take the nutrition education lessons that they've learned and practice them in their house. This is a collaboration of the Palm Beach County Food Bank and the University of Florida Cooperative Extension, and it's one of the many exciting models. The key strategy here is to bring the best programming to scale to reach more children and families. Goal number 10. Low-income families in Palm Beach County will achieve higher incomes to purchase food, and household crisis hunger will decrease. What emerged clearly through the development of the plan is that the key way to address hunger is to ensure that families have sufficient income to purchase food and other basic needs. While the federal nutrition programs and food donations are critical, they cannot do all of the lifting alone. We need to ensure that county residents have access to higher incomes. A key way to accomplish this has already been presented to you all, which is to adopt, promote, and implement the broad and strategic recommendations contained in the ALICE report. Let me see if I can get it right. Asset Limited, Income Constrained, Employed, ALICE report. The ALICE recommendations have both short-term strategies that build on some of the strategies in this plan and longer-term strategy that feature structural changes in the housing market and the healthcare delivery system, investments in transportation, improvements in job opportunity, and more cost-effective banking resources that can lower the cost of banking in low-income communities. I wanted to conclude with a quotation from one of the stakeholders, which seems to have disappeared. Let me grab it. Excuse me one moment. Okay, here we go. Palm Beach County is a very collaborative community. We just need to create a strong strategic plan that can serve as a guide for how we can work strategically together to impact hunger relief. With this plan, Palm Beach County can lead the nation and become a national model for transforming the lives of those who once struggled to put food on the table. I commend you all for all your work, all your attention to this matter, and so look forward to hearing all the key results that will take place as a result of implementing the plan. Thank you.
Alashay?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I just had a couple of questions. One, I got a little confused because you said that the ABOD category gets $175 per month, yet earlier in the presentation you said that the benefits were $32 a week, and $32 times 4 is something like $130. And that's for a single person. So is it the 32 for families, or just try to straighten that out?
Sure. Thank you for that need to clarify. So the $32 a week is the average food stamp benefit across the country for all populations participating in the program. The $175 is for the particular group of able-bodied adults without dependents, who are one-person households. So food stamp benefits depend on your income, your housing cost, whether you're working or not. So the averages are not looked at through the same population for those two statistics.
Well, how about locally, though? I mean, what is the, say for a family of 4, what is a typical SNAP benefit?
There's a range, and again, it's a case-by-case analysis that's going to depend on the person's housing costs, whether they have child support.
Okay.
So there,
But
I'm sure we could get you average for households of 4.
I think you said that there were 15.3% of families here that are food insecure. How many of those do you think would qualify for SNAP if they knew about it? And why are they not? I mean, I think everybody has to know about it. What would be the reason that people would avoid applying for SNAP?
Yeah, that's a great question. And food stamp benefits in Palm Beach County, the rates have grown commendably, but they're still lower than the statewide average. And typically what we see in terms of people not accessing the benefits are that they may be working and not, they may not know they're eligible. For seniors, sometimes they don't think they're going to get more than $16 a month, so they don't feel like it's worth the paperwork to apply. Sometimes people can't work through the entire application. They don't have someone to help them. So there are lots of different reasons why people don't access food stamp benefits, but those are some of the ones.
And what do you think an adequate level of support in terms of SNAP would be to provide the nutrition that you say, that I think we all agree that our children need.
Well, I think a great start is what Representative Deutsch is doing on the national level, which is to tie the food stamp program to an adequate food plan. Right now, it's based on something called the Thrifty Food Plan, which doesn't get you through the month, and it's based on outdated notions of how we purchase and prepare foods. His recommendation is to tie food stamp allotments to the low-cost food plan, which is a more adequate food plan that could help families get through the month. And I hope I have it right since he's sitting in the room.
Okay, and last question. I know this is very complicated, and I don't want you to go into a lot of detail, but what are the requirements that the federal government puts out in terms of receiving SNAP? And I know there's different, but just basic income and that type of thing.
Sure. Well, there's a eligibility test for whether you're a U.S. citizen or meet the requisite requirements. For instance, if you're a permanent legal resident who's been here over 5 years, you're eligible for SNAP. And then there's a gross income test, which is typically 130% of the federal poverty level. And then there's often an asset test. Florida has actually done some great work on the state level to eliminate the asset test. But once you meet that criteria, you're eligible to apply. And then your net income must be below 100% of the federal poverty level. So food stamps are targeted to people who are in need of food assistance because of low incomes and high housing costs.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Commissioner McKinley?
This is a great study, and there's a couple of comments that I have and some people that I would like to thank. The first one is the Palm Beach County School District, and actually at Coniston Middle School over the last year or so they have experimented with that grab-and-go methodology, and they have good success with it. But they've also gone a little above and beyond this year in initiating a pilot program called their Supper Program. And I congratulate them. I mean, they've chosen, I think it's 9 or 10 schools in the county to implement supper so that children don't go hungry when they go home. And 2 of those are Gove Elementary and Canal Point Elementary out in the Glades. So I'm happy to see them addressing those issues. In your report, you also recognize the Palm Beach County Young Farmers and Ranchers as being one of the greatest contributors to donated food in the area. And so Nick and Kylie Larson and Lindsay Bowen and their whole crew, they're very staunch advocates, and happy to see that you've recognized them. And I see we've got Reverend Pam in the audience, and Cross Ministries, and working with Hatton Farms over the last 2 years to successfully pass legislation last year to improve the ability for farmers to open up their land for increased gleaning was a huge success and a step in the right direction. And to former Commissioner Coons, who has made sure that this stays in front of us at all times. And I'm not sure, I think he just stepped out, but to Congressman Deutsch and his staff, we ask, there's a lot of questions about, Commissioner Valashay just asked, how do people know about this? They have caseworkers in every one of our U.S. representative and U.S. Senate offices in the state that provide services to residents free of charge. And any time I have ever called them and said, instance, the Grand Lakes apartment complex out in the Glades, I called on Senator Nelson's office and I said, can we work with these residents and find out what services that are available to them? And their staff will sit down with each one of those residents and go through their eligibility. And the federal government also gave the county a grant a few years ago for navigators. It was part of the Affordable Care Act. But these navigators not only sit down with residents at sites throughout Palm Beach County to determine their eligibility for health care, but they will also look at what other programs that are available, and they've been able to offer SNAP benefits to a lot of families that didn't even know they were eligible. So we are doing good things. We do need to do more to publicize those and do more outreach, but this study is fantastic, and I will 100% offer my assistance, whatever I can do, to get a distribution center in the Glades. It's so centrally located right in the middle of Florida where we could get produce from other parts of the Florida. And, you know, the farmers have told me time and time again that we need a refrigerated facility out there. And if we had something that was large enough to store so much fresh produce, we would go a long way in serving the residents. So I'm happy, very, very happy to see that focus in here, and congratulations on a good study.
Thank you, Commissioner Taylor.
Thank you, and thank you for the study. Very intense, a lot of information. There's one thing, you did touch on the SNAP program, and I know Commissioner Valashe had a lot of questions on it, but in January, that program is going to change substantially, and I know that Congressman Deutsch has left, I'm assuming, because I wanted to ask him what is the plan to try to get it back on target, because for 3 months, you can get the stamps, but then there are some changes to it, and you didn't expound on it too much, but, and all of this is good, but how does that fit in with your program, you know, with this cutback in the SNAP program?
Well, unfortunately, it means that there's going to have to be some defense played in figuring out how to support people who could be subjected to the cut, and it's a national policy. The waiver that used to allow people who are able-bodied adults without dependents to be on SNAP as long as they needed it has been changed, and now they're saying that you can only be on SNAP for 3 months unless you're working 20 hours a week in a type of volunteer, trainer to work, be under market to work with them. Instead of that 20 I know this level, this got to be that have and actually have a map if you'd like to see what areas those are. But that requires state action to do that. In the short run, it's going to be trying to figure out how to connect the people in Palm Beach County who can meet some of those criteria so that they can continue receiving food stamps. And then if they're going to be forced off the program, how are they going to get fed?
Right. And to me, that is really very important, because a lot of people, just to say 20 hours, you know, a week, you still fall under the poverty level. So I don't know if that would allow you to continue to receive them, but it's something that we certainly should look at.
You would be able to continue if you met the income guidelines, and you know there are opportunities for nonprofits and faith-based groups to get certified as providing 20 hours of volunteer placement for individuals. But when you look at how taxing that is for folks to figure out what are the 20 hours we can have someone to do, how can we do the paperwork, it's a very heavy lift. But thank you so much for bringing that issue up, and I know Claudia Tuck is doing a lot to advocate for the best possible solution to those issues, so she'd be your go-to person.
Wonderful. Thank you.
We do have a time certain for 11 o'clock, so we're going to keep our, hopefully, our questions concise. Commissioner Abrams.
Madam Mayor, yes, I'll be brief. There is widespread support, no doubt, for ending hunger, you know, in the United States of America, let alone in Palm Beach County. But one thing that always inhibits the support for the SNAP program, formerly known as food stamps, are reports, few and far between, I know, but nonetheless, that of food stamp fraud, and you know, I'm sure it's a very small percentage of the program, although you know, with the numbers we're talking about, of course, even a 1% fraud rate still would add up to millions of dollars. So, you know, my first question, and of course the cases are always very graphic and attention grabbing. So what steps are we taking to reduce fraud and give a greater level of comfort to the public in order to further support the program?
Well, Commissioner Abrams, you brought up an important point. At the national level, the rates of fraud have never been lower in the food stamp program, and they're very small. They're about 1%. Which, you know, head to toe to any other program, SNAP can hold its own. But the United States Department of Agriculture is committed to making sure that there's 0% fraud, because any percentage is too high. So they've been doing a lot at the national level to address fraud. And I think one of the issues is that those small cases become the talking points around the program rather than the 99% of the people who are in need of the program, who are working hard to either lift themselves out of poverty or who are working hard, sometimes several jobs, to make ends meet and need the assistance of the food stamp program.
And then just briefly, I guess maybe to Mr. Van Arnhem, we did, and you mentioned that the county had great success over the past couple of years, and it was something that Commissioner Coons brought to our attention when he sat here on the dais about increasing the enrollment of our residents in the program, of those who are eligible. We did, although we're hearing we're still below the state average. What did we do at that point that was so successful in increasing enrollment, and are we still pursuing that, or could we redouble our efforts in that area?
Thank you, Madam Mayor, Commissioners. I think that the, probably staff could address this more specifically, but we stepped up outreach and we funded navigator positions to basically help people through the application process. Those were two of the more significant strategies.
All right, and maybe you can provide some further information on that, so that we can improve our efforts that were successful previously. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Commissioner Abrams. Commissioner Burdick?
Thank you. I'd like to ask a couple questions. Thank you for the presentation. Thank the partners for everybody coming together to look at this very, very important issue. And I'd like to go to, when we talk about poverty and food insecurity, we know that low-income people struggle disproportionately with obesity, which affects all of the other healthcare indicators. Can you provide us some information with regards to food insecurity and obesity and the numbers of people that this applies to?
Thank you for that question. Well, food insecurity and obesity, there's no direct correlation, but low-income people do struggle disproportionately with obesity, in part because of the same reasons everyone in America struggles with obesity. We have a more sedentary lifestyle, portion sizes are so much bigger, we have more screen time, etc. But when you look at low-income people, there are other factors that are fueling obesity, such as sometimes they live in food desert areas where they have no access to healthy, affordable food, fruits and vegetables, or they live in food swamps where their only access is corner stores, which typically don't have a lot of fruits and vegetables. There's also sometimes less opportunity to go out and play and exercise if you're fearful of going out in your neighborhood. Sometimes there's less access to recreational facilities. So those are some of the factors.
So, of course, it would have a direct impact on affordable health care. And if we all want to contain our health care budgets in America, then providing fresh fruits and vegetables to people of poverty, reducing obesity, them therefore being able to look at the diabetes rate and heart disease, which they all roll in together, looking at healthy bodies. And when you look at healthy brains, healthy bodies, healthy brains that you talked about, I recently read an article that poverty may hinder brain development. This is a national organization. So we talk about trying to partner with schools and making sure that all of our children are ready to learn and able to read, like we heard earlier today. This has a direct impact. And we all know the consequences of not being a successful reader. As a policymaker, we talked about the federal level. I hope you give us some guidance on what we need to do at the state level. But for us, locally, later this month, we're going to have an opportunity, I believe, to reaffirm a public policy that was created in early 2000, a very successful, bold plan to preserve our agricultural reserve, which has, it's the #1 winter-growing vegetable area in the nation. It never freezes. Miami-Dade and Homestead will freeze first, and through the efforts and support of the farmers out there, we have the gleaning project and expansion of the laws up in Tallahassee, so that we need to be doing this. We have the fruits and vegetables right here in Palm Beach County. We should be doing everything we can to reaffirm good public policy that allows these lands, these very productive lands, to stay in agriculture. And I think that's what government, we may need to take a closer look at what we can do to preserve these agricultural fields. And thank you again very much.
Thank you for those great ideas.
Commissioner McKinley?
I just had one comment. Commissioner Taylor, you brought up the single able-bodied without dependent issue, and at the last board meeting, we did give staff direction. It was approved unanimously by the board, and we submitted a letter to the governor requesting an extension of that waiver, and I believe that letter went out this week. My office said a copy of it arrived in our mailbox this morning, so it is incumbent upon all of us to make sure that we are advocating to our delegation members and our friends in Tallahassee to urge the governor to support that waiver.
Okay, I have one comment. We have some cards, and we aren't past our 11 o'clock, so I'm going to make it short and sweet. I love the booklet, but just like our 10-year plan to end homelessness that did not end homelessness, it probably made it worse. I think we need to figure out what we need to do, and I want to see action. There are a lot of nice words here, but I would like to see action on what's happening. We knew all ahead of time that people were not getting food stamps or SNAP. And yet, now we come back and say, oh, it's a big aha, we need to get more people on SNAP. So let's just do it. I'm a closure person. If there's more that can be done, then we need to have exactly what to do, and let's start doing it instead of it. I guess I'm just not patient enough because I'm getting old. You know, establishing farmers market is a great idea, and yet we at the county level put up barriers to making that happen. So if we want to do that, then we got to work across our different departments and say, let's not put up barriers to doing farmers markets. And I want to ask the question, we're not going to turn away food from anybody because of turf wars. Because I know people from Miami came up and they wanted to give out food. And it was like, ooh, you don't want to get food from these people. In my opinion, if there's food to be given out, it's going to get given out. And if it only gets given out in my district, so be it. But I think that, you know, one of the questions is, how do we not turn food away because we're in a little snit with people? And the other one is, I just want it done. I really can't take very many more. I love it that we're doing this, but I just want to see action and things happening, because I see a lot of great ideas that never, ever happen, or we put so much bureaucracy in it that the poor people are driven insane before they ever get their first bite of food. So that's what I want to see. Commissioner, but thank you for all you did. I love it. I'm glad we're there. But please, let's just do it. Commissioner, or Vice Mayor Berger. We do have comment cards. We have an 11 o'clock time certain with our Secretary of Juvenile Justice. We'll go through the comment cards if we can keep it short, because I want to make sure that we get our, we are respectful too. So I'm going to do Pam Calhoun, Jeff Coons, and if anybody wants to just wave in support, feel free.
Just do it. I'm Reverend Pam Calhoun, and I'm the former director of Cross Ministry, recently retired. And I have lived in Palm Beach County for almost 38 years. And anything we set our mind to do, Mayor Vanna, I know we can do. And I believe that our collective will around this project between the business, farmers, consumers, nonprofits, government, has already generated a lot of energy. And I agree that we knew a lot of this before we came here today, but now it's all in one place, and we have ways and means to move forward. And I'm not so concerned about being a national model, but I am concerned about the child and the older adult that goes to bed hungry each night. And so I know in the days and weeks ahead, we'll be back before you with specifics and strategies and policies that will need to happen. So thank you for your commitment today, and we look forward to working with you in the future.
Thank you, former Commissioner Coons,
Yes.
and Don Kozlowski. I'm
Yes,
sorry,
I'm
Kozlowski
up
to the other
here.
microphone.
I guess I'm up here representing the advocates. I'm proud that they asked me to speak. I'm hanging out with grandkids. We do something great. We go, yay, yay. Couple things. Why aren't you expanding farming? How come we don't do community-based farms in our cities and areas. The school board has, what, over 100 gardens right now? We're not taking advantage of what we got. We talk about protecting farming. We should be expanding in urban farms. IFAS and the extension agent is here. They're going to come up with an urban plan for the Department of Agriculture to come in. Why don't we take advantage of this? There's a big garden in Boca Raton that grows a lot of stuff. I remember going with Commissioner Abrams down to Helping Hands in Boca like 5 years ago. They were doubling their business in Boca Raton every year for homeless people. So this is powerful. Make sure you keep these guys frack under contract. There's all this stuff we could do on a regulatory basis. I urge you to take this to the Florida Association of Counties, ask them to get involved. This is the strategy for you. Every dollar you put into this in here is resources going to put resources right in those neighborhoods that you want. I want to recognize your efforts, and John Van Arnhem is a classic collaborative place. A year ago, this started with United Way was doing their strategic planning, then invite their people on the Tocqueville meeting room before the strategic planning session. They had some kids there. So what can we do for you? What do you mean you're hungry? What do you mean you're hungry? They didn't think problems that we have here. These kids on one end, and all that have been here. This is the first job. This is the first time something like this, and it's a do. I just want to congratulate it. I'm very doing it, able to work, willing and able to work. Good work. If you want some good lean with cross ministry, take your leave and wear your back brace. It's really good. Thank you so much. God bless you all.
Thank you, Commissioner, and thank you for Allison Monbleu to the other.
Commissioners, good morning. Mayor Komisleski, F. and County's PL. On behalf of the United Way, I just want to share appreciation and gratitude for your leadership on this issue. Your staff has been wonderful to work with in guiding the product that you have before you. It is but a first step in a journey. The heavy lift begins now, and hopefully, Mayor, to your point, this is a quick journey. I know we will learn a lot through the process as we move forward. Our board is already going to begin. I know I challenge Lori every day, but I'm going to be challenging, as well as our board, how we measure results, how we are showing that we're making an impact in hunger in our community as we move forward and implement this. Thank you to John. Thank you to your team. We appreciate all you do.
Thank you. And I think the first thing should be the refrigerated facility in the Glades. I mean, that's a no-brainer. If it's going to get food to the Glades and there's food already there, that is a no-brainer. So let's make that the first thing we do. I'm there. Okay. Thank you, Dawn.
Okay.
Yes.
Good morning. I'm Allison Monbleu from Palm Beach County School Food Service. I want to thank you for having me here today, and I just want to thank the United Way for including the school district and school food service in your plan from the get-go. Our cafeteria managers and staff see every day the kids that are really in need. We do what we can during the school day, and we're offering breakfast, lunch, and of course, now we've been doing summer for many years. And Commissioner McKinley, thank you. You mentioned our supper program. We started that in 4 schools last year. We fed over 50,000 meals, and that was only starting in January. We just started yesterday. We launched an additional 16 schools, so we're very happy with that. And we're here to support. So we're very in line with this plan, and we're here to do everything we can. So thank you very much.
Great. Thank you. Vice Mayor Berger?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I, too, agree that this is a really good plan, and I think we need to move forward to make it happen more than just be a lot of words. So thank you for all the work that you did with all the people that you did it with. I also want to recognize Danielle Hartman from Jewish Family Services, who is here. Danielle and I and a number of other food banks and organizations that work to feed down in my district. We have all worked together, particularly at holiday time, with a food drive through my office in South County, gift cards that are given to us that are then passed out to these organizations that are down in my district. So thank you, Danielle, for coming this morning. And finally, I want to take just a moment to veer off food and recognize Mr. Van Arnhem, who's with us this morning, who has not publicly been recognized yet for being named the Deputy County Administrator. And John, I've known you for a long time. I think you deserve the recognition, and we look forward to great things from you. So thank you very much for all you've done and all that I know you will do.
And do you have a motion? To approve Hunger Relief Strategic Plan?
Yes, I do.
Motion by Vice Mayor Berger, second by Commissioner McKinley. A quick question from Commissioner Taylor.
Thank you.
And we'll vote.
As I looked through the book, and I unfortunately just looked at it today, did you all include churches from a lot of, the different communities within it? Because to me, that really is going to make this successful or not successful. And I know Pam is cross ministry, but there are other churches within it, and I want to know that whether we did reach out to all over them,
Yes, there were lots of faith-based organizations included in it.
Okay, so I'd just like to encourage you to reach further if you have not. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. All, seeing no further lights, all in favor? All opposed? Motion carries unanimously. And just my last thought is, we should be able to figure out a way to get refrigerated facility in the Glades. Yeah, I know. So we should be able to figure a way to do that. Time certain, well, we're darn close to time certain for us. This is county time, at least 20 minutes late. This is the Palm Beach Juvenile Corrections Facility discussion. I would like to recognize Secretary Christina Daly, Secretary of the Florida Department of Juvenile Justice. Thank you for being here.
Good morning. Mayor Vanna and Commissioners, thank you for inviting me to address the Commission today. I know that many of you have taken vested interest in the program at the Palm Beach Juvenile Correctional Facility, and I appreciate the concern served. When we serve, our work could not be done. A local commitment provider